guys, Imran here. The Galaxy Fold has been my daily driver for the last month, and so here are some of my thoughts and impressions. Starting first with what's included in the box, which comes in a nice black packaging with a fancy Galaxy logo on the front, while printed on the back are some basic specifications of the phone. Inside, you'll find some paperwork and a leaflet listing the premier services exclusive to the Fold, which may vary according to your local markets. The included accessories are part of the premium treatment as well. In the box, you'll find the usual staples, a 15-watt adaptive fast charger which supports Quick Charge 2.0, a Type-C cable, a USB OTG connector, and finally, two exclusive accessories, the Galaxy Buds and a slim cover. Something here to take note, the Cosmo Black Fold will come with black accessories while the Space Silver Fold will have white accessories included instead. Now onto the phone. While folded, it feels narrow and chunky, making it feel very comfortable to hold in one hand, and yet, weighing at 263 grams, the heaviness becomes very obvious when first handled. To put into perspective, imagine having two phones stacked together in a narrower body. For comparison, this is the Fold side by side with the Galaxy S10 Plus. This is how the Fold looks like in the included slim cover, which is made from aramid fibers. It certainly gives the Fold a unique look and personality, although it may not offer much in terms of protection against bumps or drops due to its lightweight profile. The case can be snapped on with or without the peelable adhesive on the inner side. In my case, I chose not to use the adhesive and it seems to stay on the phone just fine. On the front, you have a 10MP f2.2 selfie camera up top, as well as a 4.6-inch Super AMOLED screen covered with Gorilla Glass, which sports a resolution of 720x1680 and an aspect ratio of 21:9. The modest front display is certainly usable to an extent, but in my opinion, it is best used for checking quick notifications, messages, and social media rather than actual heavy consumption, although that is still possible. Unless you have a smaller hands or own a small device such as a smartwatch, the 4.6-inch display may take some time getting used to for most people, especially if you are coming from phones with larger displays. Speaking of displays, the star of the show is none other than the main display, which is a stunning 7.3-inch flexible dynamic AMOLED screen which sports a resolution of 2152x1536 and an aspect ratio of 4:3. Accompanying at the top of the display are a 10MP f2.2 selfie camera as well as a 8MP f1.9 depth sensor to get that bokeh shots with a more blurred background. The crease in the middle of the screen is unnoticeable if looking straight on and can only be seen from a shifted angle. The bump of the crease can be felt while sliding across the screen, although this does not affect touch operations at all. That being said, given the amount of warnings displayed when first receiving the phone, one thing is for sure, the main display needs more care when handling. Made of polymer material, it is more vulnerable than your typical glass displays, which means sharp objects such as fingernails are better off kept away from the device. As seen from Jerry Rig Everything durability test, a fingernail scratch on the screen was enough to leave a permanent mark. You do of course have the one-time screen replacement fee in the event that you do damage the screen in any way. One common mistake I observe others doing is pressing on the main display when folding the device. Instead, I would highly recommend pressing on the hinge like so in order to prevent unnecessary pressure on the screen. Under the hood, the Galaxy Fold runs the Snapdragon 855 with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage on Android Pie. As expected, the overall experience has been fast and fluid, switching in between apps has been snappy and multitasking has been smooth with no hiccups. On the back, we have a 16MP f2.2 main, a 12MP wide angle, and a 12MP f2.4 telephoto sensor. Here are some sample shots taken with the rear camera during my trip to Taiwan in comparison to the Galaxy S10 Plus. I'm happy to report that the Fold have very capable sensors on board. The images have a lot of detail and overall, it performs very similarly to the S10 Plus. On the side, there is a capacitive fingerprint sensor. The placement did felt quite unnatural at first, and the sensor was quite a hit and miss for me. However, I would recommend registering your fingerprints more than once in order to improve the accuracy of the sensor. Also, due to its awkward placement, registering both the thumb and index finger helps whenever you are unlocking the phone when it's flat on a surface. The fingerprint sensor doubles up as gestures as an option as well. Swiping up and down on it will bring out the notification drawer, although from my experience, I found myself activating it by accident quite frequently every time I grip and use the phone normally. The phone comes with a massive 4380 mAh battery. With mixed usage of both the cover and main display, I had no issues getting a solid day of use with an average screen on time of 5 to 6 hours, mainly doing social, web browsing, and some light gaming on 4G. As compared to the Exynos S10 Plus, which was my daily driver, I do find the Fold to be a better performer in this department. Now let's talk a bit about the software and user experience. One of the biggest appeals of the Galaxy Fold is multitasking. With the 4:3 aspect ratio main display, I am able to run up to 3 apps simultaneously at once, and the use case for this feature is pretty much up to your imagination. Over here, I have Netflix running with Pokemon Go and Twitter at the same time. Multitasking works in both portrait and landscape mode, so there is flexibility in terms of choosing the most optimum orientation for the kind of apps that you are using in multitasking mode. The multi-window app tray can be accessed by swiping on the right edge of the screen. Here, you will be able to choose from the list of compatible apps to run in split screen mode. That being said, take note that not all your apps may appear here, but you can expect the majority of media, social, and Google related apps to be supported. Another unique feature of the Fold is the app continuity, which basically allows you to seamlessly transition from the cover display to the main display and vice versa, which is really neat. However, do take note that not all apps may support this feature and you will need to manually activate it in the settings. Due to the squarish 4:3 aspect ratio, video playback can be quite tricky. Depending on the format of the content you are consuming, there may be black bars at the top and bottom, which takes a bit away from the immersion. Some apps like Netflix do however have an option to fill the screen, but doing so causes the video to zoom, and as a result, you lose out some of the details in order to remove the black bars. Gaming on the main display can be a more immersive experience due to the increased real estate. With the Adreno 640 GPU on board, shooters like PUBG, Call of Duty run smoothly on high settings. Racing and RPG games such as Asphalt 9 and MU Online also had no issues and looks great on the large display. There are however a couple of issues which I observed during my time using it. The first one is on the 4:3 aspect ratio main display. Some apps like Instagram does not natively support this aspect ratio. As such, editing and posting stories on the main display for instance can be quite tricky. Here, you can see an example of how the image looks like on the Fold's 4:3 versus the more traditional 19:9, where you will see some cropping at the side. And this is what most other users will likely see, so just something to bear in mind. Second is the multi-app tray. As mentioned earlier, you are pretty much limited to the apps that are compatible, although I'm sure that Samsung is actively working with the app developers behind the scenes to expand the library. The last one is on multitasking. I noticed that while multitasking, some apps such as Pokemon Go do not stay on active whenever you interact with a different screen. Fortunately, for all the issues that I mentioned, there are some workarounds for them which I may cover in another separate video. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with the Galaxy Fold so far, although, given the fragile nature of the Fold, I did find myself babying the main display during usage and being mindful as to not scratch or put too much force onto it. Otherwise, I had no major issues with the build quality, everything else feels very solid. I would suggest considering insurance plans for a peace of mind if you're just like me. In terms of the overall package, the Fold has a lot going for it, and it is a phone that will turn heads and start a lot of conversations. As the first generation of its kind, I would say Samsung has certainly done an impressive job here in redefining a new category of smartphones. That being said, the phone is certainly not for everyone, given its premium asking price. But if you are someone that wants to experience something radically different and have an early taste of what the future is to come, the phone might just be for you. And that is all we have for today. If you enjoyed the content, do leave a like and subscribe or comment down below on what you would like to see more. Thank you and see you in the next one.